Star Trek Prodigy, Season 1, Episode 19 and 20 review. This is the finale of this season.
Dun, dun,
Is
dun.
it Supernova? Yeah, it's... Well, that was a thing. Like, yeah, they've kind of been building... they've building this up. It was a good payoff on a lot of things they've been building. Like, their relationship with Janeway. Both hologram and not. They've been building that up slowly over time, and then oh yeah, this will work.
Yeah.
um
And I mean, as sad as it was, you knew exactly how it was going down with the ship. And it's like, you've got to transfer yourself.
Oh yeah, that was obvious. Like,
That was obvious. It's like, I got to blow up with the ship.
I sacrificed myself.
It's like, can't you just use multiple isolinear chips?
No, because you can't really break down a personality like that.
Well, it's still ones and zeros, assuming it's still code. Like, it still has to be stored. Like, if you split the code in two pieces, it's not like it won't work while it's split, but you could put them both into the same computer and download that onto the computer and then bring those two pieces back together, and then there it is. But yeah, and I think it also has the problem of, like, what if there's parts, Janeway, real Janeway as Dal, purged hollow Janeway of stuff, but like, what if there's some little something that's still remaining? So it kind of made sense to sort of just purge that all together. But also, it would be awkward because they would probably want to bring Hollow Janeway with them, and then it gets awkward because then you have Janeway and Hollow Janeway on the same ship, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to have Hollow Janeway wear something. Well, she does look a bit younger than like, I think, doesn't current
Admiral
Janeway have like a white stripe or something in her hair?
Yeah, Admiral Janeway has the streak of gray, and the
Hollow Janeway doesn't. So
yeah.
So you could tell that way, but Admiral Janeway just can't dye her hair ever. It would just it would just cause too much confusion with
Hey,
Janeway.
but I mean, she's proud.
Yeah, she's like, she seems like one of those people that would go, "No, I earned this gray."
Yeah. It's just another stripe.
Yeah. And you see this? This is just all of the Delta Quadrant just sort of coming to fruition.
This streak here, I got trying to get my crew out of the Delta Quadrant. This streak here, when I lost Chakotay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, no.
And this particular gray strand right here is you kids.
Yeah. And somewhere around here is Picard.
Oh God, Picard.
I'm not sure which one it is, but he's in there.
So I got like.
Oh, and this gray streak right here is Q. He's still pestering me. I'm still stuck babysitting his adult teenager.
So I got like a couple questions about Murph, right? So one, That's kind of like a two-part question. So how cold is the vacuum of space, give or
Very.
take? Okay, so how in the hell were they able to freeze him?
Oh, actually, due to thermodynamics, because there is no matter to cool you, to transfer your heat to, ships actually tend to overheat in space sometimes because the heat produced inside the ship has nowhere to go.
Ah,
So
And it's
how
that's why
because ships, I mean, because in space you don't have other matter to transfer your heat to, and that's why vacuum sealed thermoses are the way they are. They have that little vacuum gap where the heat won't transfer to the outside as easily. So Murph would not have frozen in space because there's nowhere to transfer the heat to.
and if you need
And the
any
language
other explanation, just hand wave it. They were inside the warp bubble.
and
were they? No.
Oh, you
no,
mean? Well, were you talking about last episode or the?
When the robot did the freeze ray on Murph and like
yeah,
Yeah, I was
froze.
talking
yeah,
about.
but
I
we're
was
talking. We assumed you meant how come he didn't freeze in space all those times he was
No,
back
no, no.
in space
Yeah,
versus them freezing
yeah,
him with freeze ray.
pretty
Thermodynamics,
much.
because freezing happens because the heat from your body needs to transfer somewhere, which is why you wet yourself to cool off, because that water becomes vapor and it evaporates, taking the heat with it, which is why humid environments like Florida are a lot hotter feeling than desert environments like Arizona, because dry heat, that water can evaporate more quickly, taking the heat with it, because that heat needs to transfer somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, humidity sucks.
yeah, yes.
True.
So my other thing about Murph, and this is a weird one. What is Murph a sentient creature?
He's
Like he's smart, but the translator doesn't work on Murph.
Yeah, but I mean, the translator doesn't work on a lot of,
Well, doesn't it only not work on creatures that aren't in the database?
yeah,
And they know what Murph is.
not necessarily, because sometimes it could, sometimes the language is just so different, because Murph has shown cognizance,
Yeah,
non-verbal cognizance, but cognizance.
He seems sapient,
yeah.
and yeah, and it does have trouble translating if the language is weird enough, like Darmok Angelad at Tanagra.
Exactly.
It's a there's a whole there's a whole episode in Next Generation where Picard is talking with, I forget what their species name is, but they have a language where the whole of the language is essentially references. So
Basically, entire species speaks in meme.
yeah, so Timba, his arms wide, that would mean
Means
something.
you are welcoming.
Yeah, and Darmok Angelad at Tanagra means I think we need to work together,
I think it
or
was
was it?
we need to find a common ground.
Okay,
We need
well,
to we need to we need
Common
to
ground,
come
working
to an
together, that sort of,
understanding.
it's that
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, we need to come to an understanding.
Yeah. And so the entire race speaks like that. They can translate the literal words, but the language, how you speak it, like the translator could translate for Picard like at Tanagra, like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
it's this and this at Tanagra, but it couldn't translate the meaning of that because it requires a deeper understanding of references and all sorts of stuff, which has got to be making translators out of translators for this race it's just hell. Because you can
Oh
translate the
yeah.
words literally, but it won't help you because you need to understand the references.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, if it's weird enough, sometimes the translators can't quite get there. Or they just don't have, maybe they don't have enough of like his natural, like they don't have enough time spent translating that particular language to process it and do the translation. But
So perhaps not being able to understand Murph is nothing to do with his sapience. It has to do
limitations of
with
the translation
Uh,
structure.
I can see that.
Oh, I was also going to say something about uh, that's why things overheat in space. That's why a lot of, if you notice, pretty much without, other than solar panels, pretty much all of um, any sort of like International Space Station, all that, they all paint the outsides white
yeah,
to reflect so they don't overheat.
so that so they don't absorb the heat as well as the heat inside of them.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's prevent overheating. But
Mhm.
yeah, what else? Let's see.
I'm glad that the diviner kind of redeemed himself.
Yeah, although the bitch didn't.
Yeah, she got away scot-free. End of series.
I mean, it's not the end of series.
Well, it's in the air right now. We don't know if it's renewed or not.
Yeah.
But
It would be a shame if it was the end of series, because it was actually a really good series.
Oh yeah.
hmm. uh,
Whew. Oh, even though he's an augment, he still got in, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like you're not Starfleet, but you pretty much are Starfleet.
yeah,
Yeah.
which it's warrant officer, from what I remember hearing from some people, is like that's sort of like an academy rank, like somebody who is not, like, who is going from being, it's a rarely occupied uh office, warrant officer, because it's like right before you become an actual officer.
Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've done that. See if I'm looking at the Wikipedia page to see if uh a second 20 episode season was officially confirmed by Paramount in November.
Ooh.
Yay. In Starfleet, the Federation and Starfleet Marine Corps and the Federation Starfighter Corps, warrant officers are specialized grade of service in a military operation where an officer is given his authority through a warrant rather than a commission usually for service in a single field with the capacity of an expert.
Yeah, it's something. It's a like yeah. It's not a. It's not something that usually you do, but
Mhm.
like, but works here. And so now,
Miles O'Brien was a warrant officer.
Oh,
So
but
it's like notable warrant officers and chief warrant officers. The very first one, Miles O'Brien.
yeah,
Philip Boylan, SS Yorktown. Tabitha Brisk, UFS Arcadia. Ari Chandra, SS Yorktown. Enigma, USS Justice. Edward Leslie, SS Yorktown.
but and well, and it wouldn't be the first time Janeway has taken somebody who didn't have Starfleet rank and treated them like they had Starfleet rank for the purposes of serving on her vessel.
Exactly. I mean, she took an entire group of Maquis
Yeah,
who technically they are still war criminals, but she used her authority as the only, Starfleet authority in the Delta Quadrant, and they're like, nah, y'all are good. We're stuck here. I'm not gonna just keep you in the brig. You're officers now.
like, yeah, welcome to the club.
but yeah, so now they are officially Starfleet, but only in warrant officer capacity, but they're gonna be on a ship, which
Yeah.
which it being like the Protostar, the Protostar was a prototype, and so now you're gonna be flying this, which is the main one, which is basically. I didn't really freeze frame and look at it. Don't think they changed anything exterior wise, and it would make sense from a
It's basically the Protostar 2,
yeah.
which it's basically like, oh shit, Picard, you crashed the Enterprise again. Here's another letter at the end of it.
Yeah, they just like, okay, well, did we see the official name on it? I don't think. Did we?
I don't remember. I thought it was also let's see.
But but yeah, so like, and from a modeler's standpoint, I can imagine, okay, we're just gonna make the Protostar. We're just gonna take the Protostar and just maybe spray paint another name on it, and that's good. Another name, another NCC. We're good. We don't have to make new sets. We don't have to make new sets. We don't have to make new ships. Everything stays the same, and and we don't change the cast much. Like Gwen goes off and does her thing, but then you've got Janeway and the rest of the crew. But now you're just dealing with Admiral Janeway instead of, unless they plan on adding like other crewmates to the crew, because they were on a fairly thin crew. Like they could do it, but they were on a fairly thin crew as it was to run the Protostar. They had
Okay, so it's still just the Protostar, it looks like.
Okay, well, it basically just here we're just going to use the same asset, so we don't have to build anything new.
So I don't know why, but when I watch a scene, when the evil chick like sent the hail out right, the first thing that came to my mind before they answered the call was, "You got mail."
Oh no.
The worst spam in the universe. Don't open that message. It's a spam call. Hi, we've been trying to contact about your car's extended warranty. No, about your
Oh
spaceship's
my
extended
gosh.
warranty.
No, not car extended warranty.
Spaceship.
Lately it's been health insurance. Like at a freaking store. I work in a shop. They call the store with these telemarketers. Like I'm like, hello, and I do my spiel, and then they're like, I'm so and so with such and such insurance. I'm click. And I have a question. Why do they call it life insurance when every other like insurance thing is described as what you're insuring it against, like flood insurance or fire insurance?
Because death insurance is a little too brutal sounding. It doesn't sound as nice.
Technically, it's death insurance, not life insurance. You're not, you know?
Okay, technically, if you look at it, it's called life insurance because it isn't for your life, it's for your family or benefactor's life that it's going to improve.
But if you, yeah, true.
Anyway. Ugh.
But
not my life.
yeah, and then we also got the Dal and Gwyn sort of thing happening that finally kind of came to a head. Like that was actually, now as they've addressed that, then she leaves. So it's just like, oh yeah, they figured out there's something between them, and then oh, she has to leave to go save her people. It's like I must go, my people need me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my people, they need me. So I can tell them, don't be a bunch of dumbasses and kill each other.
People have been trying to do that for ages.
Yes. And we got America.
Well, right now, there are other people than America who cause those problems.
True, but
Like,
I like
it's not,
to,
America is not a, like, the exceptionally, in that regard. There are many other
True, but I
countries
live in
that have
America,
started
so it affects me the
way more
most.
shit. To say we haven't, but others have as well.
Gee. Yeah, so we know you broke a bunch of your rules that we didn't even know existed because up to like a year ago we didn't even know you existed. So shove it up your asses and let us join.
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
pretty much what Janeway said.
I'm just imagining the upper admiralty going, okay, so Janeway wants to go after Chakotay, so we can get rid of Janeway and these kids without bad PR.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a ship that, I mean, we're already manufacturing them now, and we can use. They blew up our prototype because it wasn't even their fault, but they saved the entire Starfleet by blowing it up. So I guess they get a pass there. I guess we can give
Which
them a
honestly,
ship.
they probably could have just, once they got to Federation space, they could have just stopped off somewhere and made a call. Not on their phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, we should probably just, set this thing to blow up and we'll just send it over there and have it explode.
Now the question is, after this whole ordeal, did they come up with plans to make sure this doesn't happen again? Maybe like a backup comm system?
Yeah, but even the backup comm system would be connected to the thing, wouldn't it?
Using like
Well, that's another thing they could have done. It was hooked up into the, like, I'm sure that you have in the, you have the blueprints for a shuttle. Like, there's, an emergency comm array, like a survival comm array would be something that you could manufacture on the Prodigy, but it wouldn't be connected to the thing, or just you would never. Well, I guess if it was manufactured by the Prodigy, it would have been. Probably would have been infected. It would have been connected into the Prodigy systems and then gone. Oh, not Prodigy, Protostar systems. So used to Star Trek shows, the name of the show is also the name of the vessel.
I was more thinking of, hey, if you need to contact Starfleet, but for reasons you can't, use this number.
And it's disconnected from everything else.
Pretty much. It's just like some outpost in the middle of nowhere with a guy standing right by the phone. It's like, one day I'll get the phone call. One day. Okay, I'll give you your message. I'll give them the message.
Honestly, like, I don't remember all the details, but that when they met Janeway on the ice world, it's like if they just said screw it and we're just going to tell you where it's at and just sort of give up to them, and it's like, here's what you need to know: that ship has a virus on it. You can't connect to it. If it hails anybody, it will start a chain reaction of death. So that's why we haven't been able to talk to you.
Just write a note and throw it out the window.
Or, well, you got the magnetic boots. Just make magnetic letters and write on the top of the protostar.
There
It's
you
like,
go. There you go.
virus inside cannot hail. Use, use other means to communicate. But as things are, they are. But like, and then falling into San Francisco Bay, like you'd think that they would have picked them up before then. Like, oh yeah, there's a shuttle over there. Let's go intercept that shuttle. But I guess it makes less of a big splash to have them.
Yeah.
It's like clearly they would have recognized them well outside the solar system, but the Sol system, I guess, was what they would call it in that time, because it's the star is called the Sol, so it would be the Sol. That's why it's called the solar system. For those who in the audience who may not have put that together, the sun is called Sol, so its system is the solar system.
Even our star system has more soul than I do.
So in like other alien charts, they might go, okay, that is Sol 3. The inhabitants call it Earth. But that's why. But
I love how like Jenko's about to do his big smashing hammer, but he's switching. Everybody's like, oh, thank God. I mean, he's a good mechanic.
And you won't find somebody with probably won't find somebody with more experience as it as it goes, actual working experience on it in the in Starfleet. Like, he's worked with that ship for however long they've been out there.
Exactly. And I mean, even Rock Talk has gotten pretty good at the science of the ship.
Yeah, and I think that they might actually find their true calling.
Mm-hmm. And Dal is the only person who's actually successfully beaten the Kobayashi Maru without cheating.
Yeah, I just did it over and over and over and over and over again.
Hey, I mean, I bet Boimler could beat the Kobayashi Maru too at that point.
Yeah, true.
It's not 100% yet.
It's like 99.99999999991%. No, it needs to be perfect. God, Boimler would be like the Borg's worst nightmare at that point. It's like we keep adapting, but he keeps adapting to adapting.
That was the line about in that one like text thing is like humanity does so well against the Borg because you can tactics work against the Borg just so long as they're new tactics. As long as you keep changing what you're doing, that's what you have to do to beat the Borg. You can't beat the Borg. But
I had a question about the Borg. Um, so I know like when you shoot a Borg, right? Like the first shot will work, but then they'll like adapt to the frequency, right? To so the next shot won't work.
mm-hmm.
What if you had a bunch of people all shooting at different frequencies at a Borg?
Well, you know the best way to defeat a Borg? A Tommy gun.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, for some reason they got so used to fighting energy weapons that if you use you know
Percussive weapons.
actual like physical ammunition, it just throws them the hell off because like, wait, we don't have armor for that. That's what the shields are for, and it just pierces right through. But
It's like, oh shit.
yeah, that is sort of a thing. Like they do make the case that like in when they deal with them in the movie, that they have a means of changing the frequency on a rotating basis or something, and then it it keeps the Borg from adapting.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think was it the movies, or I know Data came up with the idea, and it was like it changes, it randomly changes
I
the.
think they started it late TNG.
It might be late TNG. I just know, I just vaguely remember it does come up in the movie, but like yeah, they in order to keep being able to keep fighting the Borg, that they had to make this thing that basically randomizes the frequency constantly, so that they don't have a chance to adapt, because by the time they adapt, it's already changed the frequency.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well,
They
or
haven't. I don't know that they've adapted back yet. um, but yeah, they don't. They also don't adapt well to Tommy guns because they're like, oh, they may have by now, but they just like that's not something that occurred to them or was like worth the investment, because in order to be able to the Borg, I definitely think, could make armor that could protect them against slugs, but that would be an
I don't know
investment of
a slug
resources, and they
is-
never run into these things, so leaving that vulnerability open was never really a problem until
I don't
Picard.
know. I don't know about them. Them being able to, protect against slugs. They do
All you
they
need for them is salt.
salt? Do they
I
have like
saw the joke coming and it just sort of.
do they just sweat profusely? All that
Yeah,
salt.
actual metal projectiles, like like they could make armor that could protect against that, but that's resources that they can't put towards something else. So, like, since like 99.9999% of the beings they meet out in space either they way outrange because they've got energy weapons, and they're so more technologically advanced that they, their opponents don't stand a chance anyways, even if they have, projectile weapons. Like
Yeah.
they like it's either that or they use almost exclusively energy weapons because they're much easier to handle. They have a lot of efficiencies on them. Like it's either one or the other. So the Borg making physical defenses is not really a big deal. Like maybe they could make a unit or two of like heavy armed troops that could just get in there and fight slug throwers if they met an advanced civilization with metal projectiles. But
Yeah.
it generally doesn't. Like they might have ideas for that and plans for that, but then they would have to build that and install
Real
it,
good.
and that would be resources, and it's just a mess. So they just like this. I'm not worried about if they're attacking Ferengi, for example, they don't really care. Like Ferengi are using energy weapons anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I gotta say, I like Zero's new snazzy outfit.
Oh yeah.
Although, does that kind of occur to me? Do you think Zero, even if just like a little bit, is like telekinetic? Like, how do they make the suit move? Like, they aren't exactly tangible. Like, your hand would go right through them. I
I
think.
would say probably the same way people who have prosthetic limbs, the modern robotic prosthetics, are able to move their limbs.
Well,
Uh,
maybe that Zero can expand and contract and interact with the walls of the container, and that guides the thing on what it's doing. Or it could be just, telepathic link with the machine. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, we're able to do that with people who have lost limbs and stuff, who've lost a hand. They're able to make hands that actually are able to grip and stuff.
I think
so
that one's more.
telekinetic.
It's a detecting on the skin itself. So, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
So by picking up on frequencies, creating well, I guess it would be telepathic because they don't have actual like neurons, but
Scientific telepathic.
it exists in Star Trek. I mean, you have like the
listen,
Vulcans have the meld. So I mean, like
telepathy has existed since the very beginning.
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird thing, but it exists. That
I
it feels kind of weird that it exists in Star
first,
Trek, but it exists.
the very first episode of the original series that aired, and the very first episode, the pilot episode that actually didn't air until years later, both included telepathy and ESP. I mean, Where No Man Has Gone Before had a the whole point of it was this dude named Gary Mitchell ended up having his latent ESP over amplified by the galactic barrier, causing him to go insane and try to become a god, and they had to stop him.
Yeah, and then there was also
And
like Charlie. Was it Charlie X or something like
Charlie,
that?
yeah, Charlie X was a episode a couple episodes later where he was raised by this group of telepathic aliens, and so he had these telepathic powers, and he kept telekinetic powers, and he kept doing stuff like forcing people to dance or making people mute that he didn't like.
I mean, I mean, two of us here wouldn't do that to people.
I mean, I totally would if I could.
I mean, there are some people I wish I could mute, like people on the bus, but I mean, yeah.
I
I mean, the
mean,
dancing part's a little bit too far, but yeah.
and he had a crush on Yeoman Rand, who is one of the eye candy characters, and so he basically tried to molest her multiple times because he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's a young man, just, you know, coming of age, and it's like, that's still not okay, dude.
Yeah.
But
It's like, you don't go around grabbing people's asses. Like, you don't go around like just imposing your will on others unless they need it to be imposed upon, like those freaking righty tighties who try to impose their will on other people first.
So I wonder. So when she goes to like her home planet and now time period, do you think her father is gonna be like a young child or like a teenager, or not born yet?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how long ago, how far into the future
I think it was like
the
58 years.
ended.
Wasn't it like 58 years or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember.
just gotta be careful. Don't become your own grandma.
Oh my god.
Oh, and that just that's awkward. I was just thinking about it like, okay, well, uh,
I mean,
okay,
she's
well, if
technically
she
a
ends up like
clone.
with Dow,
Mhm.
okay, and they end up having the diviner as a son.
Oh my god. Oh my god, you just reminded me of something. I fucking lost it at the line where it's like, yeah, I forgot what it was exactly, but is he like the epitome or whatever of all the things? Like, no. And I love how his expression went from why yes to oh.
And also, her species apparently dissolves upon death.
I mean, it saves a lot of money on burial service.
That's what it is.
Huh?
Their species are the Jedi.
He became one with the
Oh
Force.
my god.
And the reason he dissolved is because he redeemed himself.
Oh my
It's
god.
Darth Vader. His whole story is Darth Vader.
He's Darth Vader. Wait, does that make Gwen Leia or Luke?
Uh,
Just hope she doesn't have any siblings. I don't think she
Yeah,
does.
no.
Because then she'd meet up, and then you got another problem with.
I mean, I could see Dal as a Han Solo type.
Oh, now I'm just imagining, like, the crew,
Dal
like,
Solo.
like Janeway at some point watched Star Wars because Paris brought it up somewhere along the journey, and she watched it and she actually enjoyed it. And so, like, she's like, hey, we should all watch Star Wars. And it's like, Oh, and I just imagining what their favorite characters were.
Well, I think Murph would be Chewbacca.
Yeah, and yeah, and then Rock Talk probably would like Leia,
Yeah.
and Dal would probably like Han Solo.
Doubt is Han Solo.
And Jacob Pog would like R2D2, I think. Though he would laugh at C3PO.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I'm trying to think who Jacob Pog would be most like.
Oh. I forget it. I forget his name. Uh, God, 1 second. I gotta look it up.
Well,
Are you
describe him, we can probably guess who it is.
The the alien that owned Anakin.
Oh, Jar Jar Binks?
not
No.
no. Watto.
Yeah.
Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Only
Oh,
money.
him.
He would be Watto.
Man, I like this guy a lot, though.
Oh no. But yeah, I just just imagine them watching Star Wars and just sort of like, oh yeah, that's what they would like. uh, but let's see. Anyway,
Don't do that. I got no sleep.
What else? What else? Uh, Trying to think. Okay, do that. I hope Murph can still be a security officer. He'd be a great one because damn, can he kick ass? Uh,
yeah, this also just makes me wonder about like probably like just because of conservation of actors, like next season they probably will just be just the crew of the Protostar plus Janeway minus Gwen, at least in the beginning. Eventually she'll come back, um and or eventually they'll come back, one of the two, and it'll be faster than we're expecting, and then whatever. But lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh, whether they'll add more crew to the sort of Protostar too. Like you'll have like some actual Federation trained people more than the ragtag Protostar crew. It's like, oh yes, yeah, we're bringing on an actual chief engineer and and an actual science officer for you to learn from. It's like, yes, we bring on somebody because it would end up doubling the cast. Though, I guess thinking about it now that I'm thinking about it, like, okay, most of them are fine. They have a like, they all but Dal's job is becoming sort of, I guess it sort of works out because Gwen was kind of his executive officer, his number one, helping him like not do something so stupid. you know, his, and so Gwen was his Spock, and so like now that Janeway is going to be the in charge of the ship, he's no longer sort of captain, so he would probably be bumped down to XO, and so now he would learn how to be a captain under Janeway, which that's got to be a hell of a crash course. Okay, when stuck away from Federation space for an extended period of time, here's all the Voyager logs to read. Oh. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, just make sure I didn't
No, I was just thinking.
lose everybody. But, okay.
It was a good one.
I
It's good.
can't think of anything.
I mean, I'll probably think of something like a couple hours from now, but yeah, I got nothing. We should make like an episode called "The Things We Forgot to Say During the Last Reviews."
Anyway. Doc, you good? Doc may have fallen asleep. Alright, well, that being said, I guess we'll call it a review here.
No, can't hear you. But I'm guessing you can hear us though.
Yeah, she may have to.
Duck. uh, uh,
Yeah,
Hello.
hello.
yeah, there we go.
I have been talking the whole time.
Oh, I think Skype just hates you.
I think so. Like, I thought you were just ignoring me.
No, we would never do that to you. We nor Dex. Kidding.
That's just because half the time he's not even here. He's here in spirit.
Yes. So I think next week, because I know we have enough discorded.
Everything going well. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Alright, well, we'll call that a review, and
Sweet.
I will stop the recording then.